What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is episode 298. Couple of episodes away from that big 300. Part number 1 for your Saturday, November 2nd, 2019. And it's certainly starting to feel like November, at least for this weekend, man. Don't know what you guys did, don't know where you were when you did it, but hopefully your Halloweens were exciting, fun, and safe for all involved. But I know on my Halloween, it was wet, and it was unseasonably humid for October, and it was windy like you wouldn't believe. But all I know is I had myself a nice cold beverage, and I got myself ready for the holiday season that is upcoming, and I grabbed myself a 6-pack of Mad Elf. So I was good to go, man. My first taste of the elf this season. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you gotta Google it. And when you Google it, if you're a craft beer enthusiast, then you have to go out and buy it. Because if you don't, then you're not celebrating the season the right way. I am completely wrestled out, man. This Crown Jewel show really not only just drove me to the point of insanity, but this Crown Jewel show completely messed up my weekly schedule. It was only another and I really shouldn't be complaining because it's added revenue and views and subs and likes and all this YouTube garbage. But it was an added show in my week that's already loaded. So I don't know what I'm going to do for this weekend. I'm going to try my best to get out as good of a show as I can this weekend. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Sunday episode. I might take Sunday as a personal day. I might take Sunday and just rest and recuperate and then hit everything on Monday. That's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm not really sure what's going on yet, but if you guys need any updates, Twitter is the best place to find me. But the Crown Jewel review did very well, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you guys so very much. If you guys want to go check it out, it's linked down in the description of this very video. Go and check it out. Along with everything else, you got Monday Night Raw, you got AEW Off the Script Elite, AEW News and Rumors on Tuesday, every Tuesday. Your only place every single week for AEW only news and rumors. We got NXT, we got AEW Dynamite, which we'll talk about here with the ratings. Not very good for both shows. Crown Jewel, Smackdown, everything you guys need is linked down below in the description. So if you can, please go and check all that stuff out if you have time or if you missed any of it during the week. We're going to get into a lot of stuff here today, man. What I got on tap for you is a lot. It really is a lot. This week is one of those rare weeks where there is a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the ratings. Dynamite dropping 200,000 viewers. NXT dropping again. Monday Night Raw suffering the third lowest rating that they've had in 2019. Smackdown, they got the lowest rating in the history of the show, moving to FS1 for the week. We're going to talk about that. I got news on my thoughts on the new Corey Graves after the bell. I'm going to give you guys my real opinion of what I heard for the hour with Corey Graves and his new podcast. Seth Rollins, of course, no longer Universal Champion. Seth Rollins news. He was on after the bell with Corey Graves. We're going to go over what he said on that particular podcast because Corey Graves was a little bit more in-depth with Seth Rollins than everybody else that he had on the show. We're going to go over what Triple H said to Corey Graves on that show as it pertains to NXT and what he is thinking right now at 2 hours on Wednesday live on the USA Network. Vince McMahon, what his internal reaction was to the terrible, abysmal SmackDown rating that was on Fox last Friday on FS1. We're also going to go over a major trade that possibly could be in the works between Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. And this is pertaining to Bray Wyatt, the new Universal Champion, because right now we have Brock Lesnar, who is the WWE Champion on SmackDown Live. He represents them as their World Champion. And Bray Wyatt is representing the Monday Night Raw side with their championship, but he's a SmackDown superstar. So right now there is talk of a major trade between Raw and SmackDown to get Bray Wyatt back over to Monday Night Raw because SmackDown cannot have 2 world championships. So we'll go over that and what the possibilities are as it pertains to having the world champions go back to their exclusive brands. Also, news and notes on why Ricochet and Drew McIntyre wrestled again this week on Monday Night Raw. The original idea that Paige brought to Vince McMahon about the attack that she suffered by the Kabuki Warriors on Monday Night Raw, that was nixed. What was it? We'll talk about it. Rusev. You guys know Rusev. He's in Seth Rollins' pussy camp. Rusev. And if this happens, I'm going to lose all respect for Rusev. I really am. Currently negotiating a new WWE deal. I got news on his current feud right now with Bobby Lashley, where WWE draws the line with the edgy content that storyline is producing. And Fox hires one of the worst journalists in the business for WWE Backstage. Who is it? We'll go over it. And they pretty much guaranteed that I never watch one more episode unless CM Punk comes back to be an every week host. But right now, they are guaranteeing that I do not watch WWE Backstage with this latest hire, which was done by Fox and not WWE. So we got a lot lined up here for you today. Don't go anywhere, man. If any of that interests you, please stay with me, and I thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is the best place to find me because not only do I tweet every day, not only do I live tweet during all the weekly shows, but you guys are setting yourself up to be notified through the best possible means on Twitter. So if you guys are following me on Twitter, make sure you follow me and you're going to be notified of all the uploads that go live on the channel every single day. We are here 7 days a week. We don't sleep, literally. And I mean that 100%. We don't sleep here, man. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, and it's the same on Instagram. We are nearing 8,000 followers. I'd love to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. If you guys have an Instagram account and you guys give a shit about what I do when I'm not talking about wrestling, there you go, at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button. We are almost at 114,000 subscribers. I love every one of you guys. Thank you so very much for your support. Make sure to guys hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up as well on the video, and turn on that bell for YouTube as well. Make sure you guys are notified and have a backup plan in case anything doesn't work. If you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. That's a great way to just be involved and support what I do here. I love each and every one of my patrons over there, so thank you guys so very much. Completely optional. It is up to you. It is not one of those things that you have to go out and do, but if you guys feel like donating a little extra to what I do here and all the hard work that goes into the channel to give you guys free content every single day, it's there for you. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And the podcast today is brought to you by my fine friends over at Harry's. You guys know the deal, man. You guys know that Harry's is the best for all your shaving needs. Harrys.com/script for your $13 value trial set today. Harrys.com/script. Humans have been shaving for thousands of years, guys, and the secret to a great shave, it hasn't changed at all. It hasn't changed at all. The ancient Greeks didn't need flex balls or heated handles, and neither do you. That's why Harry's doesn't overcharge you and add gimmicky features to their razors. They focus on delivering what actually matters. I wish WWE would deliver on what actually matters: storytelling and character development. But Harry's gets it right. Sharp, durable blades at a fair price. Now, I love the fair price. It's great. It's the best price on the market. I love it. But I also love the close shave. I love the fact that it's an easy glide when I glide that razor over my skin. And I love the fact that when I use a Harry's product, I've never cut myself ever using their blades. Now, Harry's is a return to the essential. Quality, durable blades at a fair price, like I said. Guys, that fair price is just $2 per blade. They cut out the middleman, manufacturing blades in their German blade factory that's been honing precision for over a century, which means you get incredibly high-quality blades at factory direct prices, and Harry's is super convenient. Blade refills are delivered directly to your door on your schedule with or without a subscription. Now, there's no risk at trying them either. So if you guys don't love your shave, let them know and they will give you a full refund. JD, this sounds fantastic. I want to try Harry's for myself. What am I going to get when I use Harrys.com/script? Razor handle with a firm grip. 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. Rich lathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated. and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. If you're a man or woman on the go, women can use this too. If you're spending the night over your girl's house and need a quick shave because you're going out the next night, Harry's has got you covered with that blade cover, man. It's simple. Start shaving better today. No better way than Harry's. Harrys.com/script. When Corey Graves announced that he would be the new host for WWE After the Bell, which is a new podcast on the new WWE Podcast Network, I was actually very excited. Now, no matter what you think of Corey Graves, no matter what you think of his ability to do a color commentary role on SmackDown, besides all that, Corey Graves is excellent at what he does. Besides that, I honestly think when Corey Graves gets into his moments on social media and he gets into those moods where he does come off as a WWE shill, I honestly see, when I look at Corey Graves, I see someone who legitimately cares about not only the position that he has on SmackDown for his play-by-play position, I see someone who thoroughly enjoys what he does, and I see someone that actually fucking cares about what he is doing and what the fans think. Now, you might not believe that because he does tend to, I would say, stay more to the WWE shill side of things, but we all understand why he does it and why he has to do it. Same reason why Seth Rollins acted like a clown on social media and really went to bat for WWE and made himself look like a fool in doing so. It is their job to do so. Can't go out there and publicly bash your company, but I don't think that WWE and its employees should be bashing the fans either for wanting a better product. I've never in my life, seen a sports company or an entertainment company like WWE just actively go out there and bash their fans for wanting a better product. Oh, you're not in the business. What do you know? Stay in your lane on social media. Oh, you're a mark. Oh, you're this. Oh, the wrestling community is filled with a bunch of bizarre basement-dwelling virgins, or whatever they go out there and say. And they openly mock that, and they mock the community, and they mock their fans in various ways on their programming, and via the live promo, via the microphone on WWE television, whether it's through Sami Zayn or whether it's through the commentary. They find a way to shit on their fans. Corey Graves is one of those guys that I think genuinely is one of us. And I think he understands mostly where we're coming from. And if you asked him behind closed doors, if you agree with someone like me and what they say, he'll probably say yes. But he can't do so. He's got to walk a very, very thin line on what he says. Now, his podcast was billed as, raw and real. He's going to ask the real questions. It's kind of what I did with that podcast or that interview segment that I was doing on House of Glory called Cutting Corners. I'm going to cut all the corners to get the real hard truth on everything, which I wish we would bring back. I thought that was awesome. But he billed it as getting the answers. You're going to hear shit on this podcast that is going to get me quote-unquote fired. And he made a joke about it throughout the entire pilot episode. I hope that I still have a job here. Yeah, you'll have a job, because who else are they going to get to fill your void if you're gone? Nobody. But I don't like people who actively go out there and say that type of shit, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to deliver. It's like when a band comes out with an album, oh, it's the heaviest ever. Or in my genre of music, that's the thing, that's the lingo. Oh, it's the heaviest album ever, or it's the most progressive album ever. Really? Really? So, for example, could take Slipknot, because they're a mainstream act. Iowa, their second album, and their self-titled debut. The heaviest albums they made. If Slipknot came out and said, this new album is heavier than Iowa, I know that they're lying before I even listen to one track, because it's not going to be. It's not going to be. Because you're not going to take a mainstream act like Slipknot that became mainstream over time, and their music got worse, actually, which is always the case. You're not going to go out there and say, as a mainstream act, that you're trying to appeal to a new audience, that your new music and your new album is heavier than Iowa. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't believe you, because you were still slightly underground. You were still slightly underground. And I remember that album, I don't know if it made number 1. I could be wrong. But I think it trended top 5 on the Billboard charts, Iowa, which was unprecedented for a new metal / death metal act in Slipknot. Go listen to Iowa, go listen to their self-titled, and then listen to everything that followed. Nothing ever came close. I hate when people do that. I really do. And that's exactly what Corey Graves did. He went out there and said, I'm going to get the answers. I'm going to say shit on here that I'm not able to on WWE television, which is true, but, I mean, with the words and the vocabulary that Vince McMahon has already banned, it sounds like, and it seems like you can't say much of anything unless he feeds it to you. But more times than not, if you go out there and have to say it and reiterate it over and over and over again 4 or 5 different times on the show, I know you're full of shit. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. Now, as far as the presentation in the audio, I honestly did not like it. I did not like it whatsoever. It's not like me. You know, Triple H actually, we'll talk about what Triple H said. Triple H mentioned something about podcasts, and if I see something on YouTube and you're labeling it as a podcast, but it's in video form, it's a TV show. But I kind of disagree, because not only do I do the video format, I also do the audio format as well, and everything that I do here goes on Spotify and iTunes and this and that, so I am a podcast. But I'm doing something that a lot of people are not, or at least let me rephrase that. I was doing something, or I am doing something, that A, is imitated a lot, and B, I started doing this when a lot of people were not doing the video / podcast format. So I consider myself one of the originals to do this, and do it frequently, and do it at a high quality every single week, and I'm often imitated. And a lot of people, whether they use Salrex or not, they get the same layout, and they got the same fucking mannerisms, and they got the same points of view, and you can tell who is original, and you can tell who is fucking skating by imitation. And they're trying to make money off what you've built and your personality, and try to imitate that, because they don't have any personality or creativity on their own. So I don't agree with what he said there, but as far as the audio side of things and the presentation, I would actually like to see this in a video format. I really would. The audio sounded, I don't want to say it sounded scripted, and I know he had a list of bullet points or questions that he wanted to ask his guests, but man, the audio and the presentation, the delivery of everything sounded as if he was on commentary for Smackdown. When I initially hit play and I first heard him, I thought I was watching, or listening I should say, thought I was listening to a Smackdown segment with him overseeing it. It didn't sound like a genuine sit-down, intimate podcast. It sounded like some big production that WWE wanted to get out there because they're late to the podcast game. And it just sounded just overly produced. It really did. And I think Corey Graves is great. I think his mindset is that of one of us, but the way his delivery was, man, it sounded just so disingenuous. It really did. And even the questions that he asked, I mean, what was the point of having Ric Flair on when you asked him basically nothing new, and all you did was ask him about Crown Jewel, which was a WWE scripted promo, and his shoe deal with Adidas. So you're getting that marketing aspect in there as well, and he's getting to promote his new deal, his new Ric Flair sneakers. I would rather keep that off the show. How is that going to generate interest for people to come back to the second episode? What did Seth Rollins say outside of him making a fool of himself again? Blaming us for his failures. What did Triple H? Triple H was probably the most engaging guest that he had. Triple H was the most engaging guest that he had, because I always love hearing Triple H talk about NXT and hearing what he, A, has planned, and B, his vision. Bayley was another guest. This was nothing more than a WWE scripted fucking promo that they would actually do on their TV shows. Nothing new. It was nothing new. I felt like the audio was like cut and paste, you know? You know how you watch commentaries on YouTube and you watch one of these clowns in the gaming community or someone that does a vlog and it's like cut. It's not one smooth transition because a lot of people don't have, the ability to talk for minutes and hours on end. I do, and I'm very proud of that. Nothing that you see here is edited. It's all one take. It's all one take. And that's why I stand out. Because I don't go live. I sit here as if I am really live, and I don't edit anything. You will rarely see an edit. You will only see an edit in my shit when A, I'm dehydrated, or B, I have fucking sinus issues or something. So when you see a cut and a transition on my video, then it's one of those two things, and that is it. I take detailed notes on everything that I watch and everything that I do. I got bullet points here and news articles that I want to go over here for the podcast. But it sounded like it was cut, and it wasn't genuine at all. Some people made a point of WWE inserting ads and having Corey Graves talk about some hair product on his show as far as the commercial goes. Podcasting is a landmine for revenue. If you're not taking advantage of that, then you're missing the boat. The whole point of WWE wanting to get into the podcast game is to not only really take their talent and give them their own network, but that ad revenue that comes along with it, it's only another source of WWE revenue, which is always a good thing. And podcasting right now, a lot of advertisers are seeking podcasts first and foremost over everything. It was a good listen. I expected more. I honestly think the way he made it sound was kind of clickbaitish, and I don't think that it's going to be one of those things where he's going to get down and dirty and find the real answers. Oh my God, you mentioned AEW on your After the Bell podcast. You mentioned Kenny Omega on After the Bell. Oh my goodness, man. What a cardinal sin. Corey Graves is going to be terminated next week because he mentioned he mentioned Kenny Omega on his podcast. Give me a break. So, it is what it is. If I have to say, would I listen again? It depends on the guest. I'm not going to go out there and actively seek the podcast because I was not really impressed by what I heard, just as far as delivery goes. Now, his guests. Seth Rollins was the first guest. Seth Rollins mentioned on this podcast, After the Bell, that fans hate him for becoming what they wanted. Let me repeat that. Seth Rollins is blaming the fans. That's what he is ultimately saying here. So he was on After the Bell. He explained how it feels to receive such a negative response from the internet wrestling community. He says this, and I quote, you said internet darling, because Corey Graves mentioned the Tyler Black days, and he went on this rant about the internet darling phase that he had, and now he's in the WWE. He says the funny thing is, you go back to Tyler Black, but shoot, you could go back 6 months. You could go back a year ago from Hell in a Cell. You know what I mean? I was everybody's favorite. Again, what did I tell you? Guys like Corey Graves and Seth Rollins are not going to actively go out there and blame creative. They're not going to go out there and blame the WWE. They're not going to go out there and blame themselves. All of the blame comes down on us, and then they want to know why they are dwindling in fan base. Because once you shit on somebody and then you continuously do it, who the fuck is going to be left there to watch? Or listen in this case. Those are the same people who are panning Hell in a Cell and talking about how Seth Rollins is not cool, and they were the same people who were clamoring for me to be the guy to take down Brock Lesnar going into WrestleMania. I don't know what changed, except for the fact that I became the person that they wanted me to be, and they hated me for it. So it's a very fickle audience. It is what it is. To answer your question directly, it feels awful. It is not a good feeling to go out there and put your body on the line, and not just at Hell in a Cell, every single night for the past however many years I've been doing it. I go out and compete at an extremely high level, and dare I say, I'm one of the very best at my job, and I do it, and I look back, and it's not always pretty. But you go out there, and you do your job, and you do it well. People don't like it, and it is what it is, but it hurts your feelings. You're a human being. You go out there and work hard, and it's fine. You can have your opinion on it, but it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. End quote. I don't even know where to begin with this, folks. I don't know what changed except for the fact that I became the person that they wanted me to be. Yeah, you did. And then WWE Creative made you into a sniveling fucking pussy. That's what happened. Because I don't want my champions to be portrayed on WWE TV like I seen. You're afraid of the Fiend. You're cowering and crawling away and crying over the Fiend. I don't want to see you and your fiancé on WWE television with the line of, here is Seth Rollins' girlfriend. Or here's Becky Lynch's boyfriend. Don't want to see you in a program with Baron Corbin either. Don't want to see Lacey Evans in the spot that she was given for 3 months. Is that your fault? Of course not. Do you have the power to change it? Somewhat. Open your fucking mouth. Open your mouth. You became the champion that we wanted. You did. And then you got put into a position that we ultimately shit on, and then you shit on us because you thought we were shitting on you. In some aspects we were, but we knew it was ultimately Vince McMahon. But you can't say that. We understand that. But when you come on shows like this and say this, of course you're not the fucking champion that we wanted. Look at where you are now. Look at what you've become. It's not even going back to Hell in a Cell. It's not even going back that far. You got to go back further. You're just hitting the 1 year mark. What was happening at that point? Roman Reigns was on his way out with leukemia. They put you in a position and took you from your hottest run ever. You're okay with that? Why hasn't anybody asked Mr. Rollins how it felt when they fucked him up? Because all I know is the Rollins that I loved, the Rollins that was portrayed to me as a champion, the white hot Rollins as IC champion. Where's that Rollins? Where's that Rollins? Oh, that's right. WWE took you away from that moment and from that momentum because you were getting over on your own. They didn't have any control over what was being done with Seth Rollins then. They didn't have any control over what the fans thought. You were too over for them, so they pulled the leash back. No. Because now we're getting into white hot territory. Can't have that. Can't have Seth Rollins on TV with Roman on TV at the same time. He can't be portrayed bigger than Roman. That's exactly what it is. And if you don't think so, you're mental. Rollins, in that period, before WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, matches with The Miz, matches with Balor, matches with Kevin Owens. Guy was unbelievable. The whole gauntlet match, remember that? The whole fucking gauntlet match. You beat Roman Reigns and John Cena in the same fucking gauntlet match. Nobody talks about that, though. Everybody loved you. So don't go back to only Hell in a Cell. It's fucking bullshit. Then you want to shit on us. Give me a break. We shit on you because of reasons that were beyond your control, and you didn't live up to any of the hype anyway. As soon as you got into that position, you were just unbearable to even listen to. Yet you're the man in that company. Yet you want to blast people for saying this. Yet I don't hear you going out there and changing things that you don't like. If you have this position of power in WWE, and you were handed this script for Hell in a Cell, and you realized, well, maybe we shouldn't do a no contest inside of Hell in a Cell. Any right fucking human being who is a WWE superstar would look at this thing and be like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Yet you went in there and you made a no contest happen inside of Hell in a Cell, and then you want to justify the fucking ending, then you want to shit on us for not getting the ending that we all wanted. Or you shit on us for shitting on you and the match because it doesn't resemble a Hell in a Cell match. The outcome was stupid. And here you are justifying it and shitting on the fans, and you got WWE, the bump on social media, justifying it by bringing in the referee. It was nauseating. So, yeah, it feels awful. It should feel awful. But when you go out there and talk about the fans in this manner, obviously it's going to come back twofold. We're not stupid anymore. We're not stupid anymore. Seth Rollins on not being cool. This was also in the same week that the podcast dropped, but not on the podcast. Sarah Schreiber was interviewing Seth Rollins on a WWE.com exclusive, and he says this, and I quote, now I know this was a work, but it was more of a work shoot type of thing, because what he said here was building up the match with Bray Wyatt at Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, and it was also slightly a shoot, because this is how he feels. Obviously, we just heard from him on the podcast with Corey Graves. He says this, and I quote, there's been a lot of disrespect, I feel like. The Fiend, I get it, he's cool, man, and he's fresh, and he's new, and he's got this cult following, and that just puts a chip on my shoulder. I just feel like I'm out here every single week, busting my back, breaking my back, putting this whole company on my back sometimes, and I don't get the respect that I think I deserve because there's this new flavor of ice cream, and the dude's scary. I get that too. So he goes on to continue and say, I don't know what it's going to take at Crown Jewel to put him away, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive and prevail because it's kind of what I do. Tonight was a test. I got through it, and I feel fully prepared going into Crown Jewel. Obviously, he was not. He didn't prevail, and he lost the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins needs a complete rework. He needs a complete rework, and that is a given. The guy needs to work on his delivery. The guy needs to go turn heel again. Nobody ever complained about Rollins as a heel. Nobody complained about Rollins being a babyface because he was the champion. He was portrayed as a champion, as IC champion, the way a champion should be portrayed. We all loved him. He got by on in-ring work. Rollins now is lazy. It's sloppy. Just look at the way he does a suicide dive. I mean, God almighty. It is awful. It is absolutely awful. And creative obviously did not help his cause. Lacey Evans, Baron Corbin, the fucking shit with Brock Lesnar, giving us an exact repeat of what we've seen at WrestleMania. Why would anybody want to see that? Why would anyone want to see that? And the promo you cut during that fucking feud. My God! Then you wonder why people don't like you. God almighty, man. Open your fucking eyes and start placing the blame on you and creative. Talk to them internally. Don't fucking go publicly and shit on us. Things gotta change, man. Things gotta change. Stop burying your audience, because there's gonna be no audience left if you continue doing it. Now, Triple H, on this same podcast, this was interesting. He mentioned to Corey Graves that Finn Balor will not be the only one from the main roster to come back and perform at NXT. I do. Yeah, I think this is sort of a template of whatever is on the table. I think that if you look at the roster, there are going to be times when they're like, look, until the next draft comes or whatever, the talent is here, but they've kind of worked with everybody, and you're going to finish up this program with them, and then we almost kind of inherently need to sit down for 3 months or 6 months or whatever that is, just to clear this up so we can get this other side, and when we do the switch, it's new again. Great. Give them to me. I'll take them. You mentioned the territories. I'll take them. Here's the window, and here's what I'm going to do with you in that window. For the most part, barring all other things that could happen, it's a cool opportunity. Obviously, Finn is not the only one. Finn is the biggest name so far that we've seen jump from the main roster to NXT. Obviously, Tyler Breeze. Obviously, Fandango. Obviously, we've seen Apollo Crews. We've seen Asuka and Kairi Sane, as of this week, defend the tag team titles against Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. But I could see Kevin Owens making the jump. I could see AOP making the jump. I could see guys like that. If you start going out there and getting bigger names, like an AJ Styles, like a Daniel Bryan, or a Seth Rollins, even though he does have ties to FCW and NXT, guys like that, it's going to be a little bit more of a desperate look. Because now you're starting to bring in those individuals who are of a bigger value and a bigger name value to NXT. And what are people going to associate that with? Because you always say, oh, we're not in a war, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And AEW says, oh, we're not in a war, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Meanwhile, if WWE goes and gets a Seth Rollins and brings him back down to NXT because there's nothing for him to do on the main roster, I think that's a little desperate. I think Rollins is beyond that right now, just the way you portrayed him. So I don't think WWE is in business to do something like that. Guys like the AOP, guys like Apollo Crews, or the Ascension. Even though, they say that they're not in a war and they're not looking for ratings, they just want to create and bring NXT to what it really is, and it's about storytelling. You should be looking at opportunities for guys who have not been given any opportunities, or if they have been given opportunities, went nowhere with them because WWE creative sucks. That's the type of guy. Finn Balor fits right into that. Finn Balor had nothing on SmackDown and Raw due to WWE creative's inability to book him correctly. So Finn Balor fits into that mode. I don't look at Finn Balor as a guy that's going to transcend a brand. He's not going to be the face of a brand. That day has passed. You already ruined that. You stifled his momentum. That night one, you had him built as the biggest thing on the fucking planet. Won the Universal title. He got hurt. After the injury, it was never the same. It was never the same. This was a good move for him. Do I see him as a face of NXT? Yes! Because we all loved what Triple H did with him in NXT. If you didn't follow that same model on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, then you were doomed to fail from the get-go. And they didn't do that. No demon. The demon went away. He was nothing but an underwear model that smiled on Monday Night Raw. This is not the Balor that I remember. This is not the Balor that I want to invest my time in. Now, Triple H took him, and Triple H is giving us Balor, the Balor that we all wanted, the creative ideas that we all uttered for years. He's doing it in NXT. So when people say Triple H is not listening to the audience, I want someone to fucking blatantly tell me that he's not, because we all asked for Finn to be heel, and now he's heel. And now he's Prince. The Prince is back. His future is going to become his past is going to become his future. It's what we wanted. It's what we wanted. It's what we got. Obviously, they're listening. Vince doesn't listen. Triple H listens. So, I don't want any more main roster guys. Kevin Owens is another one. Sami Zayn is another one. Shinsuke Nakamura is another one. Guys like that. Guys who are NXT. Sasha Banks is another one. Not even Charlotte. Not even Becky. Bayley. Women like that. Nakamura, Zayn, Owens. Those guys who bled NXT. Rollins doesn't bleed NXT. Reigns doesn't bleed NXT. They were automatically pulled. Goodbye. They didn't really do anything down there, even though Rollins was the first, I believe, NXT champion. But other than that, I want to see guys who are not getting an opportunity on the main roster or are floundering on the main roster back down to NXT. Any other way, I think, it's just going to be WWE coming off desperate. The ratings. Oh my goodness, man. Let's start a war with the ratings, because people are already shitting on AEW. AEW Dynamite drops 200,000 viewers. They still beat NXT. NXT was down again. Raw suffers the third lowest rating of 2019. Now, the World Series, the Game 7 game between the Nationals and the Astros, drew 25 million people. That is a lot of people on the same night where two little wrestling shows called NXT and AEW are on at the same time during the game. Now, this was to be expected. A Game 7, World Series, end of the baseball season, obviously it's going to affect ratings on that night for everything else, not only professional wrestling. So, numbers were bound to be lower. TNT and AEW expected this. There's no backlash from the network as far as AEW goes. Now, last week, when an average of 963,000 people tuned into AEW on TNT, just 759,000 people tuned in to see SCU become the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions, and Jon Moxley's fiery promo on AEW management and Kenny Omega. This is a drop of about 204,000, but TNT and AEW officials would have expected this anyway, so there is no panic at all, per reports coming from them. As for NXT, the viewership dropped from 698,000 last week to 580,000 this week. But again, this would have been forecast and not a surprise to anyone. A sign of how popular the final game of the World Series is, the Game 7 between Nationals and Astros drew 23 million viewers on Fox. And obviously, there are some in that 23 million that normally would have watched AEW or NXT. Now, the real intrigue is the replay numbers, which have not been released yet. So we don't know how many people watched AEW or NXT on replay because we don't have those numbers as of yet. Now, a Raw episode on Monday that was built around Lana and Rusev's marriage split angle, that ended up doing the third worst non-holiday number in modern history of the show. Yet, sex sells, they said. Yet the social media apologists of WWE want to pretend like they know everything, but I guarantee you, between all of the cretins on social media, they have the brain cells of a fucking piece of lint. They are ridiculously stupid. Do not believe these people with fucking 5 followers and they're following 30 people and their name is Alexa Superfan 6798675564. Please. Please. Or these other people that have fucking a gif of a pro wrestler making a funny face with a very smart mark name. Please. These people are asking you to block them just based on their fucking social media name and bio. So don't even listen to these people. They're all fucking retarded. Now, for those people, they defend this shit. Oh, but look, it's bringing in the views. Oh, look, it's bringing in the viewership. Where? I ask you where. People are actually turned off by this shit for more reasons than one. Oh, but it got 5 million views on YouTube. I don't see those views transcending into the actual ratings. I don't see those views really doing anything as far as the quality of programming that we're seeing on Monday night. It's not generating ratings. It's not doing anything. It's not creating interest. It's not creating a buzz. It's taken from the show, and it's put in a short format like a YouTube video or a YouTube clip that's 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and they're making it that way because you're an idiot and you can't digest the actual show, so you go to their YouTube channel, and it's easier for you to digest in 2 minutes than it is on a 3-hour show. That's why they do it. They're pretty much telling you that, yeah, this shit sucks. Watch this 2-minute clip, get all you need to know, and don't watch the 3-hour show. And people are so stupid that they don't put themselves through the 3-hour show, and then just wait for the YouTube highlights. And then you're caught up on that just by watching YouTube. They're not doing anything that's so out there where you gotta consume 3 hours of a wrestling show. You're not gonna miss some vital piece of information if you miss the show. That's why they do it. And then they want to brag, oh, it's 5 million views. Great! Great. Add to your sub count. Add to your YouTube algorithm and analytics. Fine. I don't give a shit. But it's not doing anything for the shows. Now, the show did 2.13 million viewers on average, barely beating the September 9 episode this year and the June 10th episode against the NBA Finals. The only other shows finishing lower were on this past Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Football hurt, as it does every year, but that's not the excuse since the Pittsburgh Steelers and Miami Dolphins game did 9.98 million viewers, the lowest Monday night game so far this season. It was a 9% drop from last week with lesser competition, with significant losses in every hour. Raw was 13th for the night on cable, also far lower than usual. 911, that new show on Fox, which features Ronda Rousey. They air head-to-head on Fox. That did 6.26 million viewers and was the 4th most watched show overall on television. The first to third hour drops were significant in every demographic, with women 18 to 49 dropping 26%, men 18 to 49 dropping 13%, teenage girls dropping 12%, teenage boys dropping 15%, and over 50% dropping 11%. Now, I don't know as far as the teenage girls and the teenage boys and the 50. I mean, these demographics were probably pulled away from their television with this shit going on. Because I know if I'm a parent, I'm not exposing them to this fucking cliche TMZ drama garbage. This sexually fueled, sexually frustrated Lana storyline with Rusev or whatever. You know, cheating and marriage splits and all this other shit, infidelity and fucking affairs, marriage being ruined. I'm not going to be showing my fucking kids that garbage at a young age. Who the fuck is going to do that? So if you allow your kids to stay up and watch Monday Night Raw on a weekly Monday and then you see this and know that it's going to be the last thing on the show, why the fuck are you going to have them stay up? I would just take them away from the television, not just based off that, just because the show sucks. And I'm not going to put my kids through something that is so terrible. Over 50, they probably went to sleep. had a bowl or a cup of prune juice and a bowl of Fig Newtons, and you went to bed. Who gives a shit? So I don't really give a shit about those demographics, but you got to take into consideration that parents might not want their kids watching this shit. Men 18 to 49 dropped 13%. The show sucked. Women dropping 26%. Nobody wants to watch this cliche TMZ garbage. Hour 3 did 1.93 million viewers. So much for the storyline selling. There you go. Because if everybody was interested in the storyline, Hour 3 would have been bigger than Hour 1. Hour 2, 2.15. Hour 1, 2.33. So right out of the gate, they didn't get off to a hot start. WWE fans realized what was to come. There was nothing on this show that said to them, hey, I need to stay around and watch Monday Night Raw tonight. It dropped in Hour 2, and it died in Hour 3. So when I tell you every single week exactly what I think from the eyes of a real wrestling fan, and I tell you that the fucking storyline sucks, it sucks, get rid of it. It doesn't belong on television. You are so fucking stupid to think that this is a storyline that you're going to build an entire show around. Meanwhile, your championships are fucking floundering. You got no pure essence on Monday Night Raw that makes anything else fucking important. Championships mean nothing. Feuds mean nothing. You're basically booking rematches. You're putting on matches that I seen last week and the week before that again. Trying to build storylines and generate interest in these characters that you've just killed off in the entire year and expect me to care about them. Gotta do better, man. You got to do better. Now, quickly, SmackDown did 888,000 viewers on Friday. A lot of people making excuses. Oh, I don't get FS1. Oh, I don't get FS1. You don't get FS1. FS1 is not that far off from USA Network. USA Network has total households 91 million in the United States. FS1 comes in around 88, 89 million households in the United States. You mean to tell me you don't get FS1? WWE promoted this shit on Raw. They promoted it on NXT. They promoted it during the fucking World Series, did Fox. They promoted it everywhere. Everywhere. So why didn't you go out and watch? Oh, it was Friday night. What the fuck were you doing on Friday night? What were you doing? Because if you watched last week, and then the turnaround the next week is in 888,000 viewer territory after a 2.4, what the fuck were you doing? You mean to tell me you were that lazy that you couldn't go find FS1? Give me a break. Stop with the excuses. Stop defending garbage. All I have to do is click a button on my remote control, FS1, and FS1 pops up on the TV. Remote controls have voice recognition now. Wait, all you have to do is tell the box what channel you want. So when you want to come to me with a fucking excuse, I don't even want to hear you. I don't want to hear you. I know where I was. I knew what was going on. I watched. Even though I fucking hate the show on a weekly basis, I still watched from 8 to 10 on FS1. Oh, I don't watch FS1. There's NASCAR and fishing and fucking bear hunting, deer hunting on FS1, whatever the fuck is going on over there. So what? They're promoting SmackDown on that show. Go and watch your show. So for the people who want to say, oh, this and oh, this and oh, this and all that, you're the fucking reason why this fucking number was so bad. Make an effort. Make a concentrated effort to go out there and watch. And if you think this is going to be a good thing for WWE, you're an imbecile. Because if they had that week off and nobody watched, which, by the way, Brock Lesnar was on that show, Rey Mysterio was on that show, Cain Velasquez was on that show, Team Hogan and Team Flair, Hogan and Flair were on that show. So if you have all this talent on that show already bookmarked and planned and scheduled, and nobody still watched, what are you doing? You're wasting money by bringing in a Velasquez and a Lesnar and a Hogan and a Flair. You're not getting any return on your investment. How could you be happy about that? How could you defend that? So just based off that, what you're doing is not only alienating your audience, you're fucking up the entire quality of your show. Now you put SmackDown in a dangerous territory because if you think, now the number will be up this week. It might be out as soon as this podcast drops. I don't know. The number will be up because they're back on their regularly scheduled channel. But it's not going to be anywhere near the numbers that they were getting. Especially after now the crew and the staff and everybody that was in Crown Jewel is probably still stuck there. Give me a break. Give me a break with the fucking defending of this company. Stop it. Stop it. Now, TNT, AEW, NXT, USA Network. Quickly. The World Series had a huge effect on AEW and NXT. That is no secret. If you guys are out there and you are one of the people who are throwing a fucking parade and popping open the bottles of champagne because AEW was down 20% this week, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. It's going to go back up. Though I will say, I think we'll now see what AEW is going to be averaging. It's going to be anywhere between the number that you see now and about 950,000. That's where I think it's going to be. Now, to gauge the ratings for AEW off the quality of the shows, again, you're showing how stupid you really are. The quality of the shows have nothing to do with the number that you see in the ratings. Now, the Nielsen box, if I'm not mistaken, is something that you have to subscribe to, something that you have to sign up for. Not everybody has a Nielsen box, so we don't really know how many people are watching this show. It's only the people who have the box hooked up to their households. So, cut the shit. Yeah, I could say the same thing about WWE, but WWE, again, stop defending the garbage that they produce. The shows suck. The shows suck. I think the quality of AEW is great. Not perfect, but it's great. NXT has been fantastic the last 2 weeks, as they should be, as they always have produced fantastic shows. I'm not going to take these ratings, and I'm not going to take the last 6 weeks of NXT ratings, and I'm not going to take the last 5 weeks of declining AEW ratings as a grade for the quality of the shows. The shows have been great. The shows have been great. The baseball game, Game 7 of the World Series, which signifies the end of the baseball season, obviously hurt them. And I am using that sport game, I'm using that as a clear excuse, and it's a valid one, as to why these shows were down. Oh, but JD, why don't you do the same about NFL football or a big college football or basketball game on Monday night? Don't you think that affects Monday Night Raw's rating? Yeah, it does, but Monday Night Raw's ratings don't need me to go out there and defend the sport game and that happening on the same night. It's not going to work that way, because Monday Night Raw has been producing garbage for the better part of a decade. They constantly get worse. Every single show since the draft has gotten worse. The show has not produced anything. So, I'm not using the sports game as an example to defend WWE because they don't deserve defending. They haven't produced a good show. Now, if Monday Night Raw produced a good show, then I'll use. If they had a consistent string of good shows, then I'll use the basketball game or NFL Monday Night Football or a college game. I'll use that as an excuse as to why the ratings weren't there. They haven't produced consistency. Nobody's watching them because their shows suck. Nobody's watching them because they haven't produced consistency. AEW has. The quality of their shows have nothing to do with the declining ratings. NXT shows have nothing to do with the quality or the declining ratings. The quality of their shows. Stop it. Stop it. The quality of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live have everything to do with why nobody's watching. The fucking sports and other things happening on that night are just the cherry on top of their fucking shit Sunday. And they deserve every bit of it. So yes, I will use the World Series as an excuse as to why AEW and NXT were down. Because they deserve to use that as an excuse. WWE has done nothing, as far as I'm concerned, for me to even go out there and defend them in that manner. Hope that explains it to you guys. And that should be the same thing for you, because these apologists make me sick to my stomach. It's as if they are lining their pockets with money. Well, who's paying you? What is your agenda? What is your point? What is your reason for doing and saying the stupid shit that you do? I'm not trying to get a job with anybody. Stop defending them. Stop defending them. But I guess the stock market was very bad to WWE. They were down 15%. Roughly about $280 million they lost on Thursday afternoon. So what money are you lining in their pockets? Give me a break. Vince McMahon's reaction to the terrible SmackDown rating. Obviously, Vince McMahon is not happy. We're never going to hear about it. We're never going to hear from it about Vince McMahon. Now, the Friday Night Smackdown show on FS1, 888,000. Not good. Wrestling Observer Newsletter reports that Vince McMahon no-sold them from all outward appearances. He didn't make one mention of the FS1 rating last week for SmackDown. Dave Meltzer says this, and I quote, "From what we were told, Vince wasn't reacting to the ratings with a show to put together," meaning Crown Jewel, "and nobody else brought them up except maybe quietly away from the action," end quote. Yeah, because WWE is going to do what they always do, and that's sweep everything that's really, really, really bad under the rug, and they're going to wait for it to disappear, and they don't want to mention it ever again, because they know that it fucking sucks. Of course Vince McMahon cares. Of course Vince McMahon cares. This is coming from the same man who says AEW is not competition. This is coming from the same man who doesn't want to worry about AEW, but the same thing can be said about everything that is going on, from their actions to the way that they're paying people to this and that and this and that. And he even asked Eric Bischoff what he thought of AEW. So Vince McMahon's not worried about ratings, he's not worried about competition, he's not worried about someone coming in to shit on his own yard. He's worried about a lot of things. And this is just, again, another thing that he needs to worry about, because SmackDown's quality has actually gotten worse over the last 5 weeks, and that is a very concerning aspect for WWE. You guys do realize that Christmas is on the way, and before you know it, it's going to be here, man. It's already November. We're going to get through Thanksgiving. It's going to be that time for Santa Claus to come and start giving out gifts. And I got the perfect gift idea for you. It's the Ridge. The Ridge helps you carry what you need every single day. From streamlining how you carry cash and cards in their flagship Ridge wallet, which I own and I absolutely love, to their portable charging commuter backpacks. They want to make the most out of what you're bringing with you. Now, I've had the Ridge wallet for most of this year. I love the fact that it's slim. I love the fact that it's durable. And I love the fact that it has RFID blocking quality so that I know my identity and my card information are safe. I also love the fact that it doesn't bend. I love the fact that when I pull it out, I know I have the coolest wallet in the entire place. The Ridge is so confident that you're going to enjoy their products, they've made it as simple as possible. Free shipping so you guys can get it fast. Free returns in case you don't like it. And if you do like it, there's a lifetime guarantee. And there's 30,000 5-star reviews, so they got a lot to be confident about. The Ridge is super durable, made from military-grade materials like titanium and carbon fiber. It's proven to be bulletproof, waterproof, and even chainsaw-proof. Guys, the Ridge has been sponsoring me for most of 2019, and I want you guys to go to ridge.com/script. You're going to choose what you want, you're going to buy what you want, and at checkout, you're going to use code SCRIPT for 10% off. Go and get your dad that nice Ridge wallet. Go and get your dad that nice army knife that's on the website. 10% off this holiday season. Ridge.com/script. Clearly, the biggest story coming out of Crown Jewel was Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship. It wasn't Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez. It wasn't Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman. Both matches were god-awful. Though I have to appreciate that Tyson Fury went in there and did not make a complete fool of himself, but it was still unnecessary. The biggest story coming out of Crown Jewel was Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship. The other big story to kind of go along with that title victory was the fact that Bray Wyatt is now the Universal Champion, which is the championship title that leads Monday Night Raw. But Bray Wyatt is a SmackDown superstar because he got drafted to SmackDown via the draft a few weeks ago. What is going to happen to the Universal Championship? Where is the Fiend or Bray Wyatt going to end up on WWE's roster? Now, I want to show you guys a tweet. And I want to reiterate what I said in a little bit more of a calmer tone and a little bit more of a direct attitude. I want to go over exactly what everybody has been talking about on social media, because that's where everybody gets their opinions and that's where everybody voices their views and opinions on social media. I don't know why I chose this tweet, but it is just as ridiculous as everything else that I've seen. Now, April 22nd, Bray Wyatt debuts a new gimmick inside the Firefly Funhouse. We're all excited. We're all excited because it's something new on a dreadful TV show. It's something new and fresh on a TV show that offers absolutely no originality whatsoever, no creative ideas that we could actually invest ourselves in as fans. Monday Night Raw is awful if you have not come to that conclusion. And we all loved Bray Wyatt in his last incarnation, leading Eric Rowan and Luke Harper in the Wyatt family. We all loved Bray Wyatt. We all thought Bray Wyatt should have been a WWE champion then. We all rejoiced when he won the Universal Championship inside the Elimination Chamber by beating John Cena and AJ Styles to capture that championship. Ultimately lost the title to Randy Orton, but I would not be surprised if that's the case here on Monday Night Raw. He teased a new alter ego called The Fiend, who doesn't appear until the summer. Now, it is questionable if that was even supposed to happen. Did WWE make the right decision on debuting The Fiend against Finn Balor, right? Everybody thought it was going to be The Fiend versus the Demon King. But Finn Balor was wasted, and he went on a slight sabbatical. He got married, he recharged his batteries, whatever the case may be. But in the end, when we seen The Fiend finally presented in a WWE setting with the music and the lighting and the ambiance and the character itself and the crowd reaction to it, it worked. And was easily the best thing on that SummerSlam show, which was also god-awful. October 31st, Bray Wyatt's new character wins the Universal Championship. Now, I said it 2 weeks in a row. And I said that I would not be surprised if Vince McMahon gives Bray Wyatt the Universal Championship on Crown Jewel night because it falls on Halloween. Clearly, that is not out of the realm of possibility. Of course, someone like Vince McMahon, feeble mentality would think that and do that because it's Halloween. He looks like a scary murder character or a scary horror villain. Whatever. That's the way they think. That's the way these plebeians think. Tell stories. Tell stories. What stories are there to tell, folks? Honestly, what stories are there to tell? The only story that I see is how fucking feeble-minded the entire community is. I feel like I'm one of a very few who live on and reside on an island known as logic. Now, on this island, we love being logical. It's a way of life. It's how we get through our daily activities. It's how we wake up in the morning. We have to do everything that makes sense and everything that has some sort of logic behind it. I can't wake up in the morning and be on the island of fucking stupid. I can't wake up every morning and let me go on social media and pretend that I'm smart. But really, you're one of the dumbest motherfuckers that I think I could ever come across. Now, what is it that WWE is doing as far as telling stories? Where is the story here? The only story that I see, bro, is the fact that everybody has now swept the WWE Hell in a Cell Universal Championship match with that god-awful ending, which may very well be the worst ending in a Hell in a Cell match that will ever be. The WWE swept that under the rug, and now they brainwashed you to have you do the same thing. They had you forget about that moment, and everybody's coming off as this is some grand, big fucking deal that Bray Wyatt's the Universal Champion. Oh, JD, be happy they gave you what you wanted. Let's see where they go with it. The story here, bro, is the fact that WWE fans are so fucking manipulated and brainwashed that they don't even put together a string of logical thoughts and they follow something like that tweet and think that they can tweet and make sense. Let's go back to the Hell in a Cell. The match should have never even happened. Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins should have never even happened. But WWE did it anyway. WWE did it anyway because they put themselves in their own situation to a point where Rollins had no heels to work against. Has anybody brought this to the equation? Has anybody brought this to the forefront of fucking things when we talk about tell stories. The story here is, bro, that WWE is lacking heels on Monday Night Raw. They're lacking heel power. So you could even go back to Clash of Champions when WWE had to book a god-awful storyline with Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, and they feuded over the Universal Championship as tag team partners because they had no heels to go up against Seth Rollins after Baron Corbin was ousted at the pay-per-view prior to that. So that's the story there. WWE has no heels. So they were pretty much put into a situation. They had their backs in the corner to a point where they had to book Bray Wyatt out of sheer necessity because they had no other viable challengers for Seth Rollins on what realistically should be a really good and talented roster, but they haven't built anybody up to challenge Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. So in comes Bray Wyatt. Okay, that works, but you're also, putting all your eggs in one basket too soon, expecting them to hatch. Doesn't work that way. Wyatt didn't really deserve the Universal Championship. He didn't deserve the Universal Championship match at all. You're doing something that you are quite used to and rushing through things because of sheer popularity. Nobody realized in that company how popular The Fiend was going to be when they first seen him. They still didn't pick up on it, even after SummerSlam. And they used this to their advantage to get this match and sell a pay-per-view that was fucking built in 3 weeks. So we get to the build, and I'm still trying to figure out where the stories come in because there are none. The story here after that, after WWE rushed through this because of, their backs being against the wall and the fact that they didn't have any heels to go up against the champion, the other story here is that the champion, in this case, Seth Rollins, was made into a weak pussy foot garbage champion on Monday Night Raw. The man who slayed the beast is now afraid of a guy wearing a fucking mask, and he's cowering in the corner, and he's crying, and he's crawling away, and he's breathing heavy, he's having nightmares, and he can't get over the fact that Bray Wyatt is evil. So you repeated this 3-4 weeks in a row, where the Fiend was stalking, Bray Wyatt was stalking Seth Rollins. He was inching closer and closer to him. At one point, you had him pull Seth Rollins down into the depths of hell, like I've never seen that before. Oh my goodness. Mandible claw after mandible claw, sneaking up behind him in the darkness. The lights go out. The Fiend is standing behind him. Mandible claw. Rollins is coughing up blood. Where's the story? I'm still asking where the story is. Did we even get why Bray Wyatt was doing this? Hurt heel. Okay, hurt heel. Then we get to the Universal Championship match inside Hell in a Cell. And I guess we had to live with the fact that the match was happening, even though everybody critically said, no, that's not something that should be happening. We went along with it. Then we got the ending that we did. Then we found out the ending that should have been. And when we read what the ending should have been and what Vince McMahon originally canceled for what we got, it made things even worse. Everybody shit on the ending to a point where a lot of podcasters like myself ended up with Hell in a Cell being the best pay-per-view review that we did all year. Maybe WWE should fuck up royally like that a little bit more often because it's going to line my pockets with actual money, unlike these WWE apologists who line their pockets with fucking Monopoly money. We got that ending. Everybody shit on it. Everybody was like, oh, they need to rectify this. They need to do the right thing. Have him win the title on Monday Night Raw. Okay. Nothing happened. We didn't even see The Fiend on Monday Night Raw. We didn't see Rollins on Monday Night Raw. We didn't hear anything about the fucking outcome on Monday Night Raw. So the story is here, bro, that WWE fucked up and WWE tried to blanket the situation because they knew that they had fucked up, and they don't want to admit it. So what they did, we had rumors of Bray Wyatt being concussed inside the structure. Bray Wyatt came out that very same week, the very next Monday, and he competed in a match with Cesaro, I believe. He gave Sister Abigail to Cesaro in the dark match segment after Monday Night Raw went off the air past 11 o'clock. So clearly, if he is engaging in wrestling maneuvers, such as Sister Abigail, he doesn't have a concussion. So what did you do? You kept Bray Wyatt off TV because you knew you fucked up. You didn't want him to be put in a situation where he would get booed. Rollins didn't even make the show because WWE kept him off the show to protect him because they booed him out of the fucking building. And Rollins was public enemy number one on social media, to a point where he said nothing until about Wednesday that week, when he, again, came out and made himself look like an idiot and shit on Mick Foley and The Undertaker in 1998 in Pittsburgh, saying that, oh, any one of those guys in that moment should have had their match stopped as well. WWE kept Seth Rollins off of TV to simply protect their boy from the backlash that they knew was about to hit him like a fucking ton of bricks. Then they booked the match, and they mock you while doing it, because they knew they had fucked up. The entire Falls Count Anywhere stipulation with the one-liner in quotes cannot be stopped for any reason. Folks, it is mockery in plain sight. What that tells you and what that tells me is that they know that the match at Hell in a Cell should not have been stopped. So now they're justifying, again, that the outcome inside Hell in a Cell was the right one. And then we get Crown Jewel. The match was awful. If you put this match up against any Falls Count Anywhere match that we've seen in recent memory, it's going to be at the bottom of the list. I'd even take Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley over this shit, and I didn't even like that. I thought it was hokey, cheesy garbage. And I don't like Braun Strowman or Bobby Lashley. This match, in front of that audience, in that country, you're justifying Bray Wyatt winning the WWE Championship. I'm not sitting here saying that the outcome was wrong. I'm in agreement with everybody. Bray Wyatt, the Universal Champion. Do I think he deserves the Universal Championship? In this situation with nothing else going on right now, it's hard to argue. If you look at the logistics of it, the answer is no. He doesn't deserve the Universal Championship. Well, what does WWE have? They're in the midst of a fucking multi-billion-dollar deal with Fox, and Fox wants name value. They want the most over guy portraited up front. They want the most over guys or guy up front and center on everything that they do. That would be Bray Wyatt. So clearly he's the Universal Champion for other reasons, not because he deserves the Universal Championship. And also, factoring into that is because Seth Rollins was just critically a failure. He was critically panned as a complete failure as WWE Universal Champion. And the guy, honestly, had one of the most dismal reigns that I've ever seen. And I would even put it in the realm of Jinder Mahal bad. That's how bad it was. Now, Bray Wyatt is the Universal Champion. I don't know how anybody... The story here is, I think everybody is fucking stupid. I really do. I think everybody is operating on the same fucking brain cell. The one measly little brain cell that they have, they're sharing between an entire fucking community like this idiot tells stories. What's the story here? The story is WWE gave you what you wanted, and they're covering up the fact that what they did inside Hell in a Cell is a fucking mistake. They're giving you what you wanted, and everybody's playing along and following along like the good sheep you are without thinking that Hell in a Cell even happened. How could you justify Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship even though it's the right decision? How could you justify him winning the Universal Championship in the manner that he did it, in the country that the pay-per-view was taking place at a show that we all know is just fucking on everybody's shit list, Crown Jewel, or any show in Saudi? How could you justify him winning this title over the Hell in a Cell night where everybody was fucking primed and ready like your fucking first night with your fucking crush and you're about to fucking lose your virginity? Everybody was on the edge of their fucking seat with their fucking dicks out, waiting to feel that fucking pleasure. Did we get it? Of course not. Of course not. She was on her period, and she fucking just blue-balled you. She blue-balled you. That's what WWE did to everybody. How could you justify him winning that title in Saudi Arabia over that night at Hell in a Cell? I will never, as long as I'm doing this, let WWE down on their mistakes when their mistakes, like this one in particular, when this mistake is as bad as it could ever be for a character or for a championship. I will never sit here and justify the fact that Hell in a Cell never happened, like these idiots. Hell in a Cell was the one opportunity for Bray Wyatt and WWE to do that, and they fucked everything up. You only get one first impression. First impression is everything. You go to a job interview and, you want to put your best foot forward. You're not going to show up there in your fucking pajamas and bed hair and fucking 2 weeks without shaving, smelling like a fucking foot. You're not going to go on a first date and dress in fucking, street clothes and reek of marijuana. You're not going to go to a wedding dressed in fucking pajamas or fucking whatever you usually wear while you're out with your friends. You're going to show up presentable. You're going to put your best foot forward. WWE certainly doesn't know how to do that, and WWE certainly didn't do that then. If you're portraying Bray Wyatt in a Universal Championship match for the first time, and you know that character is as hot as it's ever going to be, and you don't follow through with one simple thing that you should have did, and that's give him the Universal Championship, then nobody's ever going to let you down. That first impression is gone. You're expecting me, and the fans are gullible enough to think, oh, well, let's see what they do with it now that it finally happened. You're gullible enough to think that WWE is going to do anything with this. You are sitting there expecting me to feel the same way that we all felt on that Hell in a Cell night. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You sat there on that night wanting, waiting, hoping, and fucking ready to fucking burst out of your seat with excitement. The excitement that I seen for Bray Wyatt winning the Universal Championship at Hell in a Cell was forced, it was not organic, and it was just pandering to an audience for fucking social media views, clicks, likes, fucking whatever, just to push your own agenda. It was not natural. Everybody that was excited was not a natural feeling. The natural feeling happened at Hell in a Cell, and then we got shit on. I am not going to sit here and be excited about it because I know what should have been. And the fact that we didn't get it then, and it ruined literally every aspect of what you tried to tell here for this story, and it ruined the momentum of Bray Wyatt, because WWE didn't follow up with anything. They went through week after week after week after week, 4 weeks from that fucking show up until Crown Jewel, doing the same thing with Bray Wyatt. Showing up in the dark, mandible claw. Showing up in the dark, mandible claw. On Raw, showing up in the dark, mandible claw. On SmackDown, showing up in the dark, mandible claw. The only time we got anything different was when he showed up in the Firefly Funhouse and burned the fucking thing down to the ground. That was it. And even then, Rollins came off as cringe. He came off as somebody that I don't want to see on my TV as Universal Champion. Before you guys look at shit like this tweet, before you guys look at anything in the realm of this, well, not that, but yeah, he's gone. Forget him. He sucks. Before you guys look at anything like this, and you look at people who complain, on social media about us, guys like me complaining. You all wanted Bray Wyatt to win the Universal title, then you didn't get it. WWE gives you Bray Wyatt as the Universal Champion at Crown Jewel, you still complain. It's not about that. It's not about that. Let's see where they go with it, the cretins on social media say. Do you know what you're watching? Has WWE given you any fucking feeling that they know what they're doing? Has WWE given you anything on TV to a point where you're watching from the comfort of your own home where you can utter the words, I trust them to do the right thing? They got it wrong in Hell in a Cell. They got the fucking aspect of Crown Jewel wrong. You don't have to look far. On the very same show, they had the War Raiders lose and now not undefeated. They had the Revival buried in a tag team turmoil match. You don't have to look far for them not doing the right thing. They didn't do the right thing hours before Bray Wyatt won the fucking Universal title. Look at Lana and Rusev. They don't do the right thing every Monday. You don't know who you're watching. Why should I take you seriously? Let's see what they do with it. Are you kidding me? They're waiting to beat this guy. You think WWE's going to book this guy like an undefeated monster? They got it wrong with Seth Rollins. They had it right coming out of SummerSlam. Then they put him in this shit with Seth Rollins too quick. He didn't deserve it. They put a Hell in a Cell around him. Fucked up not only the championship, fucked up not only Seth Rollins, fucked up the entire concept of Hell in a Cell to a point where we don't need to see a Hell in a Cell anymore. The fact that people are asking for no more Hell in a Cells should be a good indication of what people are thinking about WWE. Yet you want me to sit there and say and feel, oh, let's see what they do with it. You know, this is the same guy that they had win the WWE Championship from John Cena and AJ Styles inside the Elimination Chamber. Then they had him lose it at WrestleMania in one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time to Randy Orton, who then lost the title to Jinder Mahal. So when you tell me to fucking give them a chance and let's see what they do with it, bro, do you know what you are watching? You come off as a fucking idiot. If you were presenting me something in a boardroom and you were asking me to buy into your product and that's the fucking excuse that you gave me, I would have walked out and never done business with you ever again. Everyone on social media is a complete fucking imbecile. I am the smartest human being in the entire fucking community. And I mean that not because I'm stroking my own ego, not because I'm sucking my own dick, not because of any reasons. Now, I'm not shitting on anybody. I'm not calling anybody out. The people, the fans on social media are so fucking oblivious to what they are watching. They give everybody a bad name. Meanwhile, I sit here and spew facts and spew truth, and people think that I am negative. I am not. Am I happy that Bray Wyatt won the Universal Championship? Absolutely. Because I would rather see a fucking plastic doll that's sitting in Victoria's Secret fucking modeling black lingerie more as Seth Rollins as the Universal Champion. Give me a break. I am happy for Bray Wyatt. I love Bray Wyatt. I loved Bray Wyatt. I never wanted Bray Wyatt to lose the WWE Championship when he did. When he did. Bray Wyatt should have been the WWE Champion all through that entire year. It should have been AJ and Bray for the WWE Championship, not AJ and Mahal. Nobody understands the frustration that fans feel when WWE constantly makes the same mistake over and over again. Why would you think that they are going to do different any more than any other time in 2019? Why? This is the worst creative year, period. And I said that about 2018, and here we are. It's worse than last year. The Fiend was something special. The Fiend was something special. They dropped the ball because they don't know their own team. They don't know their own superstars. They don't know their own audience. And they want to book as they see fit. They want to book because they think they're right and we don't know anything. Yet you got people and sheep like this on social media who ask for one thing, we don't get it. They eventually get it. They fucked up everything along the way to get what you want. And then you want to tell me, oh, tell stories. What story is there? I told you a story of fucking depression. I told you a story of fucking just stupidity and idiocy. I told you a story about how this company has dropped the ball on 3 different fucking things. Rollins, Wyatt, and the Universal Championship. And you are telling me to see where it goes. They didn't get it right. They will never get it right. And they will never get it right no matter who the champion is. Doesn't matter who is the fucking Universal Champion. Please stop with the fucking JD is negative. Stop with, oh, he complains about everything. You're the simpleton who takes things at face value without thinking about anything at all. Give me a break. I'm not sitting here and I don't hit record to just fucking spew negativity. There's always a reason behind the words that come out of my mouth. There's always a reason for my madness. That's what people don't understand because you're too stuck in your own ways. You're just blinded by what people and these fucking cretins on social media say. Enough. Tired of the negativity, that I'm negative. Tired of the people saying that I complain. Think and open your fucking eyes. You're not watching WWF booked by Vince Russo during the Attitude Era. You're not watching some fucking glorious wrestling show that's pulling in 8-9 million viewers on a weekly basis. You're not watching NXT. You're not watching AEW that has produced consistent television for years. NXT. AEW's out for 5 weeks and they put on better shows than Monday Night Raw and SmackDown combined in the past 5 years. Stop defending garbage. this is the company that shits all over you every single week. This is the company that doesn't give a shit about what you want or what you say. We talked about that in the beginning of the show with Rollins blaming us for why he's not over and blaming us for Hell in a Cell. Yet this is the company you want me to go out there and give a chance to. Let's see where it goes. Yet this is the company that you're claiming on social media. They did what the fans wanted. No, they didn't do what the fans wanted. Because what they did at Crown Jewel was not genuine at all. They had no other choice to give Bray Wyatt the Universal Championship. If they didn't, the character's dead. On top of that, you already killed Rollins. You killed the Hell in a Cell. If they didn't give him the title, they had no choice but to. What did you expect them to do? They did it for us. They had no choice. You think they wanted to give him the title? If they wanted to give him the title, they would have did it at Hell in a Cell. Fucking open your eyes, man. Open your eyes. I don't have anything else to add. I don't think anybody can fucking watch me sit here and refute anything that I said. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, what do they do with Bray Wyatt? What do they do with Bray Wyatt? That's going to go down as one of the best, most direct, fucking in-your-face rants on the history of this podcast. Feels so good after that shit, man. You can't refute anything that I said, and I know you can't. I know it. Unbelievable. What do they do with Bray Wyatt now? Now, their Falls Count Anywhere match already faced an uphill battle. They were already on two different brands. Bray with SmackDown, Rollins with Monday Night Raw. And after I just ranted over the fact that they had no choice, being that they booked this match to give Bray Wyatt the Universal Championship after everything that they've already done and fucked up on, now they find themselves in a very sticky situation. The most logical scenario, which I would not put it past them to do at all, would have Bray Wyatt lose the Universal Championship back to Seth Rollins, stay on SmackDown, and bring the Universal title back to Monday Night Raw. But they can't do that. They can't do that because then you're facing The Fiend to ultimately be killed completely. Now, you save The Fiend by giving him the title amongst the social media community, and they think it's all good and grand and fantastic, but they're not thinking ahead like I am. What do you do? What do you do now that he's the champion? What do you do with the title now that it's on SmackDown? Now you're going to come up with ways, and Fox knows because they tweeted Monday Night Raw, they tweeted at Raw, hey, do you guys know where your champion is on this Halloween? Yeah, he's on SmackDown. He's got a red title on a brand that is predominantly blue, who already has a world champion. So they can't have him lose at any point, period. He cannot have his shoulders pinned to the mat, ever. Not ever, but at least for the foreseeable future. And I stress that foreseeable. Don't know who's going to beat him. That also raises another question. You already ruined Seth Rollins and his finisher to a point where the curb stomp needs to be retired. It needs to be exiled from his fucking moveset. Nobody's going to believe the curb stomp ever again. How many times? About 76 fucking times between Hell in a Cell and the Crown Jewel match? The move is dead. Nobody's going to take that move seriously. You also face an option or a problem here with who do you have to beat Bray Wyatt? After everything that Rollins put him through at Hell in a Cell, he came back, got another match. After everything that Rollins put him through at Crown Jewel, emerged from the fucking electricity, right? And he still got the mandible claw and his sister Abigail and won. So what are you going to do to beat this guy? I don't think WWE even has a clue. I don't think WWE even has anyone lined up. I don't even think they're thinking that far ahead to take the title off of Bray Wyatt, and who does it? So you're running into an issue right there. Obviously, those are red flags immediately. Just by the way you told these stories, they don't make any sense because you don't have the next chapter even planned out. It's not even a fucking thought. So what stories? The story right now that's being written or told is A, non-existent. WWE is doing things that they are forced to do because they had no other fucking choice. And the story here is that there's no plans moving forward for who's next and how. Why? The all-important questions in WWE. Who, how, and why. They don't have any of that. So you can't beat them. The most logical thing is for Rollins to show up on SmackDown and take the title back. Can't do it. Can't beat The Fiend. That would ruin him completely, never to be taken seriously again. Now, SmackDown needs heels. There are no heels on SmackDown Live. There are no heels on Monday Night Raw. WWE has a shortage of heels. This is why I don't understand why they turned Daniel Bryan back to a babyface. There are no heels on SmackDown Live. Who are the heels? Baron Corbin? Give me a break. There are no top-level heels on SmackDown. And Brock Lesnar doesn't count because I'm not going to count someone who shows up 25 dates a year, even though there are rumors, or there is rumors, that he's going to show up a little bit more frequently now that Fox is, doing the thing on SmackDown. But nobody really takes that to be credible unless we physically see it. There are no heels on SmackDown Live. So at that point, he could be great against guys like Kofi. He could be great against guys like Daniel Bryan. He could be great against guys like, God forbid, Roman Reigns, because they have a history. And with the hurt and heel and the entire Bray Wyatt character, he has really history with some of the bigger guys on that brand. Strowman, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns. So he's got history there. It's easy to tell those stories because there's history already built up with those guys. Now, the only roadblock here with Brock Lesnar is if you feud Lesnar and The Fiend, which I see a lot of people on social media thinking about doing and wanting and fantasizing about at the Survivor Series. I'm not really in that position. I'm not in that boat to say, yeah, let's do it. If Lesnar and The Fiend go one-on-one, who wins? You're going to book yourself into another situation where you can't book yourself out of? You're going to recreate Hell in a Cell all over again. Why would you even think about that? What I would do is not even have this Raw versus SmackDown champion versus champion bullshit. I wouldn't. I would either A, abandon it and just keep it to the 5-on-5 and just book Survivor Series accordingly, with brand activity on SmackDown being included in that show and brand activity on Raw being included in that show, except for the 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown, who is supreme type bullshit. Now NXT's being involved. I don't know what that means. For all we know, we could get a War Games match between the main roster and NXT. We can pick 4 NXT guys to infiltrate Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live and wage war on the main roster, and we get NXT versus 4 WWE guys inside War Games. And they do War Games not only on Saturday night, but Sunday night in Chicago. Could be an idea. Don't know how NXT is going to be involved, but I've seen people, it's going to be Roderick Strong against Shinsuke Nakamura, and Adam Cole versus The Fiend, and Brock Lesnar, with Adam Cole taking the obvious pinfall. Why? That is so stupid to even utter those things. That is not even an idea. That's stupidity. So Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt, don't do it. I don't want to see it. In actuality, it doesn't make any sense. On paper, it's like, whoa. I want to see that. The Fiend versus Brock Lesnar, that's an intriguing match. But in actuality, in real life, it doesn't make any sense. Now, I don't know what else to say as far as what I've already said. Brock Lesnar moving to Monday Night Raw? Not happening. Fox wants Lesnar. They got Lesnar. There's a reason why he was drafted to SmackDown, because Fox looks at him as a legitimate sports athlete. That's not happening. Is Bray Wyatt going to take the Universal title, stay on SmackDown, and turn the strap from red to blue? I don't think that's going to happen either. That's stupid. That's just so outlandish. It's stupid to even utter and think. Now, the other thing that I raised was this draft pick that they wasted, or these 2 draft picks on Monday Night Raw. They drafted Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross individually when they were already paired together as a team, but they drafted them individually only to trade them to SmackDown for nobody. But they got a future draft pick consideration. They could use this per storyline and draft Bray Wyatt back to Monday Night Raw, being that he is the Universal Champion. Yeah, we take Bray Wyatt from SmackDown and put him on Monday Night Raw, and the Universal title is back home on the brand that it belongs on. They could do that, but that's too easy. WWE never does the easiest thing or the most logical thing. They're not going to do that. So I honestly don't know where they go with this. Now, him losing should be out of the question. Now, if that happens, who does he feud with? He's got no one on that brand that is even close to coming to beating him. So WWE, even with this decision, though everybody is really excited about it, it doesn't make any sense. On SmackDown, he's got a plethora of fresh opponents. On Monday Night Raw, he has nobody but Rollins. I really don't know what to think. Maybe they just abolish the championship and keep him on SmackDown. Maybe he just takes the title and hangs it up on the wall and it's never to be defended again. Maybe Monday Night Raw is without a world champion. Maybe they unify the championships and we get one world champion spread across both shows, which will be Brock Lesnar. He's on Fox. He's on SmackDown because Fox wants him there, and WWE wants to reap the benefits of Brock Lesnar as well on their show. Meanwhile, the mid-card championships, both the IC and the United States Championship, are now the top-tier titles on each show. I don't know. I really don't know what to think. This is a very sticky situation. It is a very sticky situation for WWE. A major trade could be in the works for Bray Wyatt. I don't even think the draft really did anything to enhance these shows to begin with. If WWE wants to pull off something that's really out there and unpredictable and outlandish as far as the trade goes, then they should do it. Because what they did with the draft did not set these shows up to look any different than they were before the draft. So I think WWE should take the gamble here and do something that's completely outlandish and make these shows vastly different with a major trade, shift talent back and forth, and get Bray Wyatt back on Monday Night Raw. I don't want to see him on SmackDown as the world champion because right now it looks stupid. And I don't want to see anybody from Monday Night Raw come over there and challenge him because he has their championship. This is why I think WWE did not think about this clearly. Go out there and do something different. So a major trade could be in the works. Don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting. It's got people talking, and that's all WWE really gives a shit about. Quickly, guys, a couple of minor stories here. Ricochet and Drew McIntyre, why they wrestled again on Monday Night Raw. Meltzer explained this on The Observer. The reason they did Ricochet and Drew McIntyre again was because it was successful and has been successful. That's why. They had a good match and they did good things. That's why they wrestled again. That makes sense. That's why they didn't have a finish. Well, they had a finish and it was Randy Orton in St. Louis interfering. WWE finds something that is gravitating and really generating excitement, gravitating towards the fans and generating excitement on social media. So they see that, they do it again because they don't really have any other ideas to bring to the table. They're going to go with what works, and they're going to jam it down your throat until you're fucking sick of it, and then complain on social media, and then at that point, then they'll give you something different. So, one good thing you see on WWE television, and they're going to give it to you every single week until you fucking physically get tired of it, instead of just letting it be great. They want you to be, fucking sick of it. They want you to see something great, and they want you to get sick of it. That's exactly what their mentality is. WWE, and the reason I like these two paired is they had great matches, but they're fighting over nothing. And I honestly look at that as a future world title program on their show. And what are they going to do differently outside of what they've already done? What are they going to do differently when that time comes? If it ever comes, So don't waste all your bullets in the fucking magazine. Don't. They've already wasted 4 in Ricochet and Drew McIntyre. Paige. There are rumors that Paige is coming back or WWE's planning for her in-ring return. Fuck it. She already denied those rumors. Please show me what doctors you're talking to. Now, Paige wanted to do something very different for the Kabuki Warriors heel turn on Monday Night Raw. Sources say that Paige wanted to be put in the Oscar lock during their segment, and WWE Medical did not allow it. Paige has a big no contact flag on her, being that she just got neck surgery. So she's not been medically cleared. She's been medically disqualified from in-ring competition, so she can't take any type of bumps or submission moves because of her prior neck issues and her neck surgery that she just recently completed. So that's what she wanted to do, But WWE said no. That would have looked great, but the mist in the eyes was a great substitute, and I thought, and that was one of the few things that I actually liked on the show. That came off very well, and the Kabuki Warriors, like I said, definitely like that they are definitive heels and not in between, because nobody knew what they were. I like them being clear-cut heels, and I like the dark, edgy, just persona that they're playing. Kairi Sane looks good draped in black, kind of still portraying that pirate princess theme. And Asuka's got the ability to play a great heel, and she has those heel-like tendencies, and I think it's a good move for both of them. Rusev is negotiating, or currently negotiating, a new WWE deal. Now, this was talked about, I believe, on PW Insider. And this is a situation that I hope does not really have any legitimacy whatsoever. I hope it's not a case where he's sitting down with them and talking about a new WWE deal. It is unclear why WWE is seemingly burying one of the stars that are currently trying to, they're trying to convince him to stay, and they're burying him. I'm guessing they're trying to bury him in a way that, well, you haven't really given us any sign that you're going to resign, so we're going to do this with you, and things will get better once you, properly commit to us. That's the only thing I could say. Ryback actually said this about Rusev, and I quote, this is on his podcast. I can tell you for a fact that with the whole Rusev angle, he's in contract negotiations right now. Now, I love Rusev. I like to talk to him. I talk to him often. I think he's fucking stupid for doing this angle. It's acting and it's fake. And they now have control over your character over a really shitty angle that could be humiliating if you choose not to resign. So he goes on to say this, and he notes if Rusev does decide to renew his current WWE deal, the company might start portraying him in a better light. He's going to look horrendous in all of this, and they got him. They put him in a shitty angle while contract negotiations are ongoing, and if he resigns, it will probably work itself out, and he's going to look really good in it, and then you're going to see them use him for a bit, and then it's going to go right back to where they have him now. Or he's going to choose to not resign, and they're going to humiliate him and humiliate Lana like no other. My opinion, but I have seen it done before. He's not wrong in anything that he said. WWE is burying him now more than likely because he has not given them a commitment on resigning. And right now he's iffy on resigning. So WWE sees this, they hear it, they get his vibe. They're going to bury him until he resigns. They're going to give him the fucking spiel about resigning. Everything will get better. We'll push you. We'll put a title on you, this and that. And then after that, after the fucking sunshine and flowers hit him for about 3 or 4 weeks, then they're going to put him right back to where he is now. Buried, or worse, off TV before they drafted him to Monday Night Raw. And it's one or the other. Nothing is going to work out for Rusev. They have not given you any reason to trust them. So don't resign. Look at the OC. The OC have been, complaining about not being used. You've seen the little back and forth that they've had on social media before they resign. They ended up resigning. They ended up resigning for 5 years with the WWE. They signed, they got the tag team titles. Within 3 weeks, they lost those tag team titles. They were buried and made to look like losers in the week leading up to Crown Jewel. Then they won the World Cup. The best tag team in the world. How long before they start losing on WWE TV again? It won't be that long. So Rusev needs to understand that with everybody that they've seen, give them the, I'll wait on signing. Look at the Revival. Look at the Revival. They gave them the tag team titles in hopes that they sign. The tag team titles are still on them in hopes that they resign. As soon as they resign, those titles are coming off the Revival. As soon as they sign those contracts, those titles are coming off the Revival. Please. Why do you think their angle with the Usos died? The Usi hot, the fucking embarrassing, the jackass skits. Then they put the titles on them. Because they realized that, well, these guys are not going to resign if we're humiliating them. Let's treat them like gold. Let's treat them like legit guys. Let's pair them with Randy Orton. Maybe they'll resign. Look, we're doing something with you. And in the back of their mind, WWE's waiting for that pen to hit the paper. And then they're going to pull those titles off of the Revival. And they're going to pull that push. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. I've seen it physically on TV. Rusev better not resign. I will lose all respect, no matter the money. No matter how much they're offering, I will lose all respect for both Lana and Rusev. Because what they're doing with both of them is god-awful. They could make just as much money, if not more, somewhere else. And along with that, they'll be treated with respect. And the fans will give them the respect that they deserve. Bobby Lashley, being that he's feuding with Rusev, Bobby Lashley says he might be the next Val Venus. I don't know what drugs he was taking when he said this, but he said it. He spoke to TV Insider recently and said this. It was one of those things where no matter what you do, you have to sit back and say, is that me? Can I do that? I didn't know if I could do it, but that's the challenge of being a WWE superstar today. In order to be a performer and maybe take that next role in acting, you have to have different layers. My layer was one-dimensional. I put some gloves on and kick somebody's ass. So there's a part I need to work at. Doing roles that are dramatic, love scenes. It's taking some getting used to, but I might be the next Val Venus. It's a different style for me. I know who I am. I think this will show a little more who I am after it's all over. The thing is, Bobby Lashley's got the fucking charisma. What did I say? I used him as an example with a box of white rice. Bobby Lashley's got the charisma of a plain box of Chinese white rice. Val Venus has more charisma in his fucking penis than Bobby Lashley has in his entire being. You go look at Val Venus' skits before he debuted, you tell me that Bobby Lashley could even fucking come to 1/10 of what Val Venus did. Give me a break. You're actually disrespecting Val Venus in that instance when you mentioned, oh, look, I could be the next Val Venus. No, you can't. Nobody could be the next Val Venus. They picked the perfect time and the perfect guy to play that role. There will be nobody that could pull that role off as good as he did. Bobby Lashley, don't make me laugh. The one thing I do agree with him on is that the whole layers thing, he's very one-dimensional. Put gloves on, kick someone's ass. Maybe this will have him break out and be a little bit more charismatic. I don't see it. I have not seen it yet. I don't think I'm going to see it. But he does make sense in that. You gotta be put in these types of roles to really learn and grow in that type of role because I'm very one-dimensional. That I do agree with him on. But being the next Val Venus, bro, give me a break. WWE drawing the line with edgy content. How far will they go? Mike Johnson commented on PW Insider that although WWE is getting a little bit more risque with their content, a.k.a. Lashley, Lana, and Rusev, that they won't be bringing back any blood, and they really draw the line where they go with the sexuality on WWE TV. As far as blood goes, blood is either accidental or fake, and it's not likely that blood comes back anytime soon. WWE's been very adamant that they have zero plans to go into that route, except with cases where they use fake blood like they did with Seth Rollins spitting up blood after Hell in a Cell. There used to be a time when WWE featured blood on their programs practically every week. Vince McMahon was even cutting himself on television to add an extra element to angles. I don't like that. I think it's way past the time to do that type of shit. And you can't use it every week. You can't use it all the time because when you do see it, it's not going to have an impact. When someone bleeds after seeing no one bleed on basic television all year and someone bleeds accidentally or you add that color of blood into the feud on purpose to give it that extra oomph, you know, it's a little bit more, whoa, now this is serious. Your investment is a little bit more. If you've seen it every day, if you've seen it every week, every wrestling program, it's going to be like, oh, someone's bleeding. You know, it's just going to be something you roll off the shoulders. But if you see it after months and months and months and months without seeing it, and you see that instance, then you know that things are about to pick up. Your investment is going to be a little bit more because you don't see something like that all the time. So that's why we felt that way about the fucking pile driver. Remember, if you guys go back and watch the Andrade Rey Mysterio matches that they had earlier this year, when everybody thought that WWE banned the pile driver, we start seeing fucking, Canadian destroyers being pulled out by Rey Mysterio and Andrade in their series of matches. Adam Cole does how many fucking Panama Sunrises during his matches? It's got to be 2 or 3 different times. He went for the fucking Panama Sunrise in that match with Johnny Gargano at TakeOver SummerSlam weekend about 4 different fucking times. So it's something that when we first seen it in that Andrade Mysterio feud, we were all like, whoa, did WWE bring back the pile driver? Because that's fucking devastating. And I thought they outlawed that move outside of The Undertaker doing the tombstone. Now that we see it all the time, it's like, oh, look, another Canadian destroyer. Oh, another Mexican destroyer if you're watching the Lucha Brothers. Oh, another Panama Sunrise by Adam Cole. And everybody kicks out. Everybody kicks out. It's fucking stupid. Don't do something too much. It's not going to be appreciated if you do. Finally, guys, this is a laughable one. Don't know why they didn't hire me. I could tell you why, but I'm much better suited than this fucking clown. WWE's deal with Fox included a new studio show on FS1 called WWE Backstage. Now, they're teasing a major announcement, I think either this week or next week. Not really sure. Their major announcement could be CM Punk. But Fox is, not WWE, Fox is bringing in a dirt sheet rider. Now, this dirt sheet rider is going to play a similar role to that of Ariel Helwani on UFC Tonight. Fox is bringing in Ryan Satin for a regular role on the new show to play the role of Ariel Helwani that he plays on UFC Tonight. Fox also reportedly did not consider any other names for this role. Guess it works out. I don't know where this show takes place, but I guess he'll be traveling with WWE to all Smackdown locations. Don't know why they hired this clown. He is one of the biggest fucking clowns in the community. His podcast is just god-awful to listen to. His views on the product are so, let me suck your dick, Vince, please. I guess all that dick sucking got him a job with WWE in the form of Fox and WWE Backstage. I hope you got what you wanted, bro, because you lost every ounce of credibility that I ever had for you. You lost every ounce of credibility that the fucking community has for you. You're nothing but a joke, and I think you should tell the stories of you going to your local Whole Foods and talking about these particular porn stars that you and your wife or girlfriend stalk on Twitter, and then go to the Whole Foods because you pick it out in the picture that you see of these porn stars on social media. You go to these particular locations and stalk these porn stars for autographs because you and your wife or girlfriend watch them while you're laying in bed. That's what I think you should do. I think that would be far more entertaining than what you are about to do on WWE Backstage. Really. Really, Fox. If you wanted somebody, you got Ryan Satin. I would have vouched for Sean Ross Sapp, to be quite honest with you. Don't know why they didn't hire him or bring him in, or anybody else. Ryan Satin. What Fox did here is pretty much guarantee that I don't watch the show ever again. That's what they did. Unless CM Punk is there, of course. And I'll watch just for CM Punk, and when they usher him out to bring in a Christian or a Paige, then goodbye. Ryan Satin's on my TV? Click. Just like Seth Rollins when he's on TV. Click. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Long show today. Had to load it up because I don't know if I'm going to have a show on Sunday. If I do, you guys will know about it on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at JD206. On Instagram as well, JD206. If you guys want to go check out all the other content that you missed, ton of stuff. I don't need to repeat it. It's down in the description. Go check it out. Make sure you guys donate and support via Patreon. Patreon.com/JD206. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And kindly hit that thumbs up down below. Guys, have a great Saturday. Check out all the other content. And I will hopefully see you guys right back here on Sunday. If not, definitely Monday. But follow me on social media, like I said, for any further updates. Have a great Saturday. Have a cold beverage on me. And I'll see you guys later this week for more WWE news right here on Off the Script. See you then.